Welcome to Extra. I'm Joanne Hines.
And I'm Georgia Lash. Here at Extra, we bring you expanded coverage of recently broadcast features from Sun City TV. Now, I think, Joanne, we're pretty fully into the Sun City spring experience. The pollen is gone, and the tree frogs are starting their serenade.
May is the month to honor moms, celebrate Mayfests, and commemorate Memorial Day. Georgia, you had a special opportunity to visit with the vets. Please share your experience with the viewers.
In 2017, it was signed into law that March 29th was to be observed in perpetuity as Vietnam War Veterans Memorial Day. This fitting date commemorates the day the last U.S. combat troops departed Vietnam. Sun City TV was privileged to attend Beaufort County's poignant ceremony to honor those who served.
On this beautiful morning, our Beaufort County Veterans Affairs Department is partnering with Beaufort National Cemetery to honor this nationally recognized day of Vietnam War Veterans Memorial. There'll be a pinning ceremony to honor those who've served.
March 29th is National Vietnam War Veterans Day, uniting Americans in to thank and honor our Vietnam veterans and their families for their service and sacrifice. It is estimated that more than 6 million U.S. Vietnam veterans are living today, along with 9 million families of those who served during that time frame. Vietnam veterans represented 10% of their generation.
And the veterans of the Vietnam War never fully received the recognition that they so richly deserved. Although a difficult time for this nation, the lessons learned from Vietnam were absolutely invaluable. The military, as a result of what was learned in Vietnam, developed counterinsurgency doctrine, counter-guerrilla insurgency techniques, very critical battlefield medical care. But putting all of that aside, the most important thing that this nation learned was the value of our military service members. They lost that during the Vietnam War, and as a result of the sacrifices that the Vietnam veterans made, this country gained a newfound respect, albeit not soon enough.
8.7 million Americans served in the armed forces during the Vietnam War era. Our Sun City Veterans Association members were certainly among that numbers. We had a chance to talk with them about what they recall from their time of service.
I was a veteran in the United States Army from 1971 to 1974. The Vietnam era was extremely intense for Army people. I did not have to go to Vietnam. I was at White Sands Missile Range in New Mexico, tracking experimental missiles with radar.
I was in the regular Army. I enlisted in 1961. I served until 1964, and then the reserve until 1968. I was stationed in Okinawa, and part of our function was to, at that time they were just gearing up to get into Vietnam. Some of my buddies were going back and forth. We were supplying communications for them, and I was lucky.
I went into the Army in 1966 and served in Vietnam from October of 1966 till October 1967. I started out as a draftsman. I wound up as an infantryman for a while, and my memories of that were kind of like flying an airplane. Moments of sheer boredom followed by moments of sheer terror. So after that, I was reassigned down to a unit in Saigon and spent the rest of my tour there. And coming home, I just remember flying over New York Harbor and seeing the Statue of Liberty, and the tears rolled down my cheeks. I was a happy camper then.
Now, reports noted that there are over 500 ceremonies held around the country.
And that's nice that they're recognized, but I think ours was the most special because we got to share it with our own Sun City Veterans Association. Now, as we move on, Joanne, you've got a story about a new addition to Sun City.
Yes, I do. Through a collaborative effort, Sun City is now home to a MODIS tracking station. Now, this system provides novel insights on animal movement and behavior that's fundamental to their conservation. Reporter Carol Fox got the details.
So it's an exciting day here in Sun City because the MODIS bird tracking tower is being installed over at the golf maintenance facility. Paula, hello. Thank
Hi.
you for coming to tell us
Well, thank
about
you
this project. What is the MODIS tracking system? How does that work?
Well, basically, the MODIS tracking system is run out of Bird Canada, and it is a series of towers that extend all the way from Canada down into South America. And they use radio frequency to pick up on tags that are placed on birds, also bats and insects. So that's how they're able to track migrating birds doing that. And part of the reason why they're doing that is for habitat protection. We need to know where the birds are resting over the winter and where they are nesting come summer. And we also need to know where they stop on the way up, what areas are important to them in order for them to refuel to make that migration. So this will point to areas that need to be protected so the birds have places to rest and nest and make their way up north. So
That is fantastic. Well, how did Sun City get involved in this?
well, Sun City actually several years ago, I think the Bird Club was looking at trying to do this and was not able to put it together. I had just been to Nemours Plantation where they had talked about MODIS towers, so we brought that idea up, and Sue from our steering committee did some research and came up with pricing and so on, and we decided it was a project we'd like to do. We then went to the Bird Club, who had a really high interest in this happening, and Photography Club, because that gives them the ability to know where birds are, when the birds are coming north, and so on for the bird photographers. And they all agreed to participate. So, and then the golf services, of course. So it's been really a group project, and I always love group projects, so it was great.
So if our viewers want to use this new system or to find out what birds are coming through right now, what should they do?
Well, there is a great website, modis.org. It's motus.org. But we are going to be doing some training first with the Bird Club and the Photography Club, since they participated in this. And then we're looking at ways that we can get that information out to the whole community. So anyone could go on and find out what birds are going to be coming through and where they might be staying over and so on. So I think it'll be really exciting. It's really great to have this here.
So Jen, welcome to Sun City. It's wonderful to have somebody from Audubon, South Carolina here.
Thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here.
We're delighted. So tell us what you've been doing this morning to set up the tower.
Yeah, so this morning we're setting up the MODIS tower to track migratory birds. We started with a big boom lift and got way up high on that tower and put on the antennas and ran the cables down. So the Sun City Tower here is actually going to cover an area like the Savannah National Wildlife Refuge. It's going to cover Palmetto Bluff and all of Sun City. So any birds moving through this area or stopping here will get detected by this tower that are wearing the tags that scientists put on them.
Can you show us a tag?
It's very small. It's like a little antenna and a little piece at the base.
Yes.
And I actually attach them using a little bit of jewelry wire. So stretch magic. It's on a little harness on their legs.
Well, what migratory birds are passing through our part of South Carolina right now?
You know, a lot of birds are just starting to come into town and some are passing over. I heard a northern parula this morning. We've had yellow-throated warblers singing. And then we also have purple martins showing up. Hummingbirds are starting to show up. Shorebirds are flying through. So pretty much all the birds are leaving their wintering grounds and either coming here to breed or continuing on to go north to breed.
That's fantastic. How many MODIS bird tracking towers do you have in South Carolina?
We've got over 20 now between the Audubon South Carolina network and some of our other partners. So we've been working hard to make a network along the coast, then up the 26 corridor and in the upstate.
That's great.
Yeah.
And what can we do as residents and homeowners to be good hosts to these migratory birds?
So migration is very dangerous, and anything we can do to help them survive that journey, either by planting native plants to feed them, making your windows safe for birds by turning your lights out at night, and then also putting on those dots that help break up the reflection so they don't run into it, and keeping your cats inside. All those things can really help migratory birds get to where they need to go.
Those are great tips. Jen, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hear that you were in on that fateful first meeting when
Yes,
you all
ma'am.
decided. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually embarrassed to say, but once the ladies left, I actually Googled it to find out exactly what the Motus Tower meant. I kind of purveyed in on their conversations and caught bits and pieces, but after I really looked it up and studied it and researched what it covered and how many areas of not only the state of South Carolina, but the coast and actually the upper half of the country, it was a really cool deal, and I thought it was something that was perfect for Sun City and for the bird club and for our nature tours. It was just a great asset to everything that we've been doing over the last 15 years here.
I agree.
Now that's interesting, and I understand we at SCTV might be involved in helping our residents learn how to use the tracking station.
That's great. Now you've got the next story, Georgia, which is airborne in a different way.
Our Sun City Veterans meetings have provided a variety of informative presentations. Recently, they hosted a retired Marine One pilot, Rob Bridgers. I spent some time with him to get the inside story of what it's like transporting our U.S. presidents.
Rob, for your presentation this evening, you sent the Veterans Association a biography. And in that biography, you claim that you barely made it through high school. So I want to know, how does that translate into you becoming an elite Marine One pilot?
Well, first of all, it was a big lie, like a lot of Marine Corps pilots do. I did have issues getting through high school. I will not doubt that. But I was able to make it without a GED. So, and then it was very imperative to my parents that I go on to college, and I gave it a good shot, and I dropped out and joined the Army during the Vietnam era, and was stationed no further away than 300 miles from my hometown for the entire enlistment. So anyway, it worked out. It worked out. Education is highly overrated sometimes.
Is it a requirement to become a Marine One pilot?
A college degree is a requirement. To become an officer in any branch of the service, a minimum bachelor's degree, and at some time, if you stay in for a career, you're expected to go on and get your master's and maybe even a PhD if you're so inclined.
Which I know there's a master somewhere in there too for you.
Yeah.
Now,
the master is my wife.
and rightfully so. Now, in this presentation, I know you're going to be featuring a lot of your Marine One experiences as you were assigned to transporting both President Reagan and President Bush. And I know there's some stories for you to tell. But the first thing I'd like to ask is, how much interaction as the pilot do you actually have with the president?
Actually, very little. We're saying there were no more than glorified taxi cab drivers, pretty much. And our clientele is elite, to say the least. But as often as not, President Reagan, he would ask the military aide, hey, who's driving today? And he'd stick his head in the cockpit and say hello, sort of thing. But he had no idea who we were. We observed some of the most important world events from a parking lot where our helicopter was landed and we were waiting for him. So.
Now, when I looked at the history of Marine One and how it's structured, obviously the security measures and equipment are incredibly vast. And I was intrigued by the idea of Marine One aircraft travels in groups to act as decoys. So I began to think about this. Is it like three-card Monte for presidents? Do we switch the aircraft around and the president has a different aircraft in a different position as he travels? Is it that you have the same aircraft with the president all the time and you just move that aircraft around? How does this work?
All of the above. We didn't do much of that when I was in. Our biggest threat back then, I left the squadron in '89, was still communism. We didn't have the terrorist threat, but we started the shell game, so to speak. But he would take off and stay in that helicopter, and we have some others maneuvering around identical. He always flew in a what we call a white top, which had the top was painted white. They were always that. I understand they do it a lot more now, and they're a lot more sophisticated than we ever were. But yeah, that is a reality check there.
It's smart. I mean, it's an interesting reality.
Whenever we would go any place different than the Washington, D.C. area, we would always connect with the local law enforcement and find out if there was any credible threat in the area and where we might expect to run into that threat. And the Secret Service would step in and alleviate or take care of it. But our job was just pretty much to get him point A to point B. If I can tell you, normally back in my day, and I cannot tell you what they're doing now, if there were 3 aircraft, one would be his, that would be Marine One. We would have a separate aircraft for the Secret Service, and then a third aircraft for the press corps. President would always, Marine One would always take off first. The other 2 en route would pass him. He sits on the left side of the helicopter. So we would pass him on the right, and we would land and be in the zone ready when he arrived. So that was a little bit of a shell game, even back in those days, but there's a credible need for it now.
Did you always remain his pilot, though?
Yes.
During that time? Okay, so he had to trust you for sure. That bond was there. Now, do you have any presidential anecdotes that you could share that would get neither of us in trouble?
Without being killed. My favorite, the doors on the helicopter are on the left. So when we fly into the White House, we would turn, and they had a large plywood disc for us to put the landing gear on, and open the doors, and everybody walk in, and they close the doors, and we take off. Well, one day the wind was incredibly quick, to say the very least, so we landed straight ahead and just waited for him. And everybody gets on, the doors were closed, we're getting ready to take off. And then somebody taps me on the shoulder, which I thought was odd because the crew chief had inter-cockpit communication. He could have told me, relayed the message. I turned around, it was President Reagan. And he looks at me and says, "Rob, don't hit my house when you take off." And I didn't, per the presidential order. Coming back from Camp David, which is located out by Thurmont, Maryland, maybe 60, 70 miles away. We were coming back, and President Reagan was on, and there was a brown kind of a scud layer over the city, the basin that Washington, D.C. sits in. And he looks out there, he says, "Would you look at that? And Congress isn't even in session." Can you put that on?
Editor, it's your choice. Now, I think it looks like there's either got to be a book deal coming, maybe a Netflix series. While we love talking about you as a Marine One pilot, you have an interesting career. Certainly kudos to you for over 8,000 hours of flying experience. My, I think, favorite, you taught aerial acrobatics. And just like Top Gun, pilot flight instructor. Of all those experiences, and of course ending as the executive officer of Air Station Beaufort, which of those would you put at the top of your highlight career? If there was a reel of all, if they put that Netflix series together, which is going to be your favorite thing for the trailer?
It would probably be flying the president, because of the places we got to go and the things we got to see and people we got to meet. It was a very, very unique experience. Say that we used to stay on the ranch with President Reagan. We would stay out at Kennebunkport with President Bush, and Camp David. We had our own cabin at Camp David. Matter of fact, it's one that Menachem Begin stayed in during the peace talks. But quite quaint little park, I might say. But yeah, it was very nice. So that was kind of at the top of everything else was fun, but this was
Better than aerial acrobatics.
yeah. I love flying aerobatics. So yeah.
Well, I have to tell you, it's been a delight to talk with you. Everyone's going to enjoy your presentation. You've got to come back and let us know if that Netflix series starts.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
I bet he has many stories to tell.
Oh, he was quite a character. But that's the fun of reporting for Sun City TV. You never know who you're going to meet. And Joanne, I think our next story is about one of our neighbors.
Definitely. News anchor Norma Taylor sat down with Sun City resident Sophia Shade, who had her eye on the sky. Sophia, an award-winning photographer, shares the process she used to capture the 2025 lunar eclipse.
Well, I'm here with award-winning photographer Sophia Shade. And Sophia, you did the lunar eclipse. So tell us about it and where did you photograph this?
So on March 13th at 11:57, it was the first photo I took. And the last photo I took was on the 14th at 5:05 a.m. So I saw a posting on Facebook on March 12th. A friend of mine had posted a lunar eclipse that happened 4 years ago, and I knew that I needed to do this. I wanted to do it for me because I wanted to learn how to do it, and then I wanted to do a composite that I end up doing. So I decided to do it on our Millennium Bridge. I wanted to be at the highest point of Sun City. I needed to be safe. So I had was able to obtain a parking pass to be on the bottom to park and carry all my equipment on the top. I had to have my tripod, my camera, and then I called a couple friends. So Mike Davis and Joyce Fowler, who are two photographers from Sun City, also joined me. And we started at 11 o'clock at night.
Okay.
Got up there and took our first photo. And then after midnight, I started taking photos every 15 minutes in order for me to be able to see the whole eclipse. And it was magical. It was magical.
I mean, what did you think when you were taking these pictures?
I was at awe. I could not believe what nature had to offer us. And that was how I was feeling. I was excited. I had brought a chair. So every 15 minutes after I took my photo, I would sit down and I would just continue to look up because the moon moves and it moves really fast. We don't realize how fast it moves.
Well, your pictures are absolutely amazing. Tell me, having done it, would you do it again?
Absolutely. I can't wait.
That was dedication, and her photographs are always amazing.
Amazing.
Okay, so another amazing. Let's move on to our favorite segment, Extra Special.
Extra Special. Norma Taylor once again contributed significantly to Extra by providing a story for this segment. She met up with some tennis players who gives us a reminder of the old adage, age is just a number. Let's take a look.
You have to be 80 years old to be in this picture. Amazing. Well, I'm here with Bob Cudger, and Bob is the leader of the Geezers, the Geezer League. And Bob, tell us about the Geezer League.
The Geezer League's been in action for about 5 years. It was started by Miles Hannon, who was a prince of a guy. You have to be 80 years old or older in order to play in the league. We have men and women that make up two teams. We have about 32 players right now, and we're recruiting constantly.
And Bob, if you don't mind my asking, how old are you?
I turned 90 February 27th of this year.
Okay, and you have about, how many, about over 4 people on your league that are 90?
We have 6 people that are from 95 on down to 90.
And they're
Years
playing all the time.
Well, they play once a week. We play on 3 courts at 10 o'clock or at 12 o'clock, and 2-hour periods.
Well, it is amazing that you have this league. And look at this, you even have a hat that says the Geezers on it. Unbelievable, Bob. You guys are unbelievable. I'm going to talk to a few of them.
Girls, too.
Oh, girls too. I'm sorry. Yes, girls and guys. Thank you so much. And we're going to look forward to talking to some of the other older geezers. Well, I'm here now with Julian Shedlowski. And Julian, do you mind me asking, how old are you?
I'm 94 years old, going to be 95 next month in July. And tennis is a lively game that, as you can see, you can play into your 90s. It's lots of fun. I've been with the Geezers for 4 years, ever since they started. And the companionship and the competitive spirit with the 2 teams is something to behold.
So you don't believe that age is a number here. I mean, what keeps you going? What keeps you, playing tennis is a pretty active sport. How do you do it at your age?
Well, I like to get 9 hours of sleep every night. You got to stay hydrated, so I drink a lot of water. I use a sports drink without sugar when I'm playing, and I think that is a secret, especially in the low country, of being hydrated and don't get on a sugar high.
Well, I'm here with the oldest geezer, Art Abramowitz. And Art, you're 95 years old, and you're still out there running around hitting the tennis ball. How do you do it?
Well, the idea is normally get up in the morning. That's the first priority I have. I have to get up and start moving. The requirement is having a good breakfast and a beautiful young wife.
Oh, okay. A beautiful young wife. All right. Well, you go, Art. You go. You got the right idea. Keep it going. Okay. Well, here I am with Ray Tapio. Now, Ray is the youngest of the Geezers. He's only 90 years old.
90 years old.
He's only 90 years old.
Yes.
He's a youngster here.
Yes,
So,
yes.
Ray, you used to do sports for Sun City TV, and now you're part of the Geezers. How do you handle playing tennis at this age?
I don't know. I really never made any plans because I didn't really realize that I could make it to this age. But I had a clean living. I didn't go out with fast women. That was one important thing that I kept away from. And I think that's what kept me to this age.
Okay, must be. Okay, well, whatever it is, Ray, you're looking good, and you're still playing tennis. You're still active, and I know you dance.
Thank you.
Seen. Well, now here's Jerry Marvin, 93 years old. I see you in the gym pumping iron there. I see you all over. And what do you do to stay young, Jerry?
Move here. That's what did it. I was 75 years old when I got here, and that was 18 years ago, and I just stayed the same. People say to me, you don't change, and I attribute that to the activities here and the lifestyle and the people. That's the main thing. I think the most important thing is getting social with people, get to know them, work with them, enjoy the games you play, and have fun.
That's our show for May. We hope you enjoyed an extended look at our Sun City stories.
Please join us again next month. You can always catch us on cable and on our YouTube station, where we invite you to subscribe for easy viewing. Thanks for watching. Happy Mother's Day!